Hello everyone, and a very happy new year. And well, to kick the new year off, I thought it would be a fun idea to look at what is going to happen in the UK railway world in 2025. And that can be stuff like new stations opening, new trains entering service, trains transferring from different operators, and, if you kept up with the news last year, major changes to the franchising system. So, without further ado, let's dive in. One of the most important rail events of 2024 was the reopening of the Northumberland line running from Newcastle to Ashington, with it opening with two new stations at Ashington and Seaton Delaval. This year will see Newsham and Blythe Bebbside stations being added to the line, alongside new National Rail platforms at Northumberland Park Metro Station. This year will also see the reinstatement of passenger services on the Camp Hill line between Kings Norton and Birmingham New Street, which is at present used as a fast line for cross-country trains travelling from Worcester to bypass the University line. 3 new stations will be added at Moseley Village, Kings Heath and Pineapple Road. This scheme was supposed to be completed by the end of 2024, but has now been delayed to autumn 2025. Speaking of delayed stations, this year will also see the opening of White Rose Station in the suburbs of Leeds, with it acting as a replacement for Cottingley Station, which will subsequently be closed. This was scheduled to happen last year, but due to delays in construction, this has been delayed to later on this year. The Camp Hill line is not the only new series of stations coming to the West Midlands this year, with 2 stations planned to be reopened on the Wolverhampton to Walsall line at Darlaston and Willenhall, although you might have to wait a bit, as currently the opening date is estimated at the winter of 2025-26. Meanwhile, South Wales, which is currently in the midst of its Metro project, which we will discuss further later on, is receiving both a re-siting and a new station this year. Treforest Estate Station on the Merthyr line will be re-sited in order to improve safety, and a new station will be opened at Bute Town on the Cardiff Bay line as part of its modernisation, which includes it going from single track back to double track. Finally, one of the most significant rail projects taking place in Britain at the moment is the construction of East West Rail, which is proposed to run from Oxford to Cambridge via Bicester, Bletchley, Bedford and a planned station at Tempsford. 2025 will see the opening of the Bicester to Bletchley section, with the addition of a new station at Winslow and high-level platforms at Bletchley. Initially, services will run between Oxford and Milton Keynes Central and will likely be operated by Chiltern Railways. It is planned for services to run further along the Marston Vale line to Bedford in the future, although the ageing signalling system, the lack of a second track, and inadequate stations prevents this at the moment. East West Rail has also been responsible for the construction of the new Cambridge South Station, which is also set to open this year, with it serving trains from both the West Anglia and Cambridge lines, as well as East West Rail services in the future, although the date for completion of the Bedford to Cambridge section is still undecided. And as far as I know, that is all the new stations that are planned to be opened in 2025. Of course, these dates might change and could be pushed into 2026, but as of right now, that's the definitive list. 2025 will see several new trains enter service across the UK railway network, as well as some trains being upgraded, refurbished, and even brought back from storage. One of the most exciting examples of this is the ex-Greater Anglia Class 379 trains being brought back from storage to be used by Great Northern on their regional express services from King's Cross to Letchworth, Cambridge and King's Lynn. These trains were scheduled to re-enter service sometime in late 2024, but this has now been delayed to sometime in early 2025. This has also resulted in a significant cascade of rolling stock, with several of Great Northern's Class 387 fleet transferring to Southern, with this allowing for some of Southern's Class 377/1 fleet to be transferred to South Eastern to replace Class 465s on longer runs into Kent. Another train expected to re-enter service this year is the Class 175 Coradia trains that were previously operated by TfW until they were replaced by Class 197s as part of their ongoing fleet transformation. These trains are scheduled to re-enter service with Great Western Railway, although the routes that they will operate on have still yet to be announced. although it is highly likely that they will replace ageing Castle HST sets on services within Devon and Cornwall, bringing an end to nearly 50 years of HST operation in the southwest. Another new train expected to join GWR's fleet is the Class 230D train, which formerly operated with London North Western on the Marston Vale line until its converter, Viva Rail, entered administration. The 230 has been seen undergoing tests on the Greenford branch throughout 2024, with new fast charge equipment being installed at West Ealing Station. Of all the new trains that are scheduled to enter service this year, the one that I am the most excited about has to be the new Class 810 Aurora trains that are to be used by East Midlands Railway on intercity services between London, Derby, Nottingham and Sheffield, designed to accommodate the ongoing electrification of the Midland Main Line and replacing the all-diesel Class 222 Meridian units. Alongside this, EMR are also committing to refurbishing their entire fleet with similar interiors to the Aurora trains, with their fleet of Class 170s, 158s and 360s receiving an internal refresh. Another TOC looking at a significant refurbishment this year is Cross Country, who are looking to invest £60 million into refurbishing its Voyager and Turbostar fleets, with many of the Voyager trains having the original Virgin-era interiors they've had since they were built nearly 25 years ago. This therefore is a refurbishment that in my opinion is desperately needed, although in my opinion also, ordering new trains is probably a better solution to Cross Country's current issues. Southeastern are also planning to refurbish their fleet of Class 376 units, which have also had a similarly outdated interior since construction, with a new interior similar to their newly acquired Class 707 City Beam fleet, although interestingly, the refurbishment doesn't plan to add air conditioning. 2025 will also see the introduction of the second half of WMT's Class 730 fleet, with new 5-car Class 730/2s being introduced on slower West Coast services from London to Birmingham, Crewe and Liverpool. This will also allow for the full fleet of 730/0s, which have been running extra diagrams between London and Milton Keynes, to be used in the West Midlands on the Cross City and Chase lines, and allow for the full withdrawal of the inadequate Class 350/2 fleet. As mentioned earlier, South Wales is in the midst of a major transformation of its railway network in order to create a more metro-style service. This year will see the Class 398 tram train enter service on the Rhondda, Merthyr and Cardiff City lines, as well as the line to Cardiff Bay. These battery electric trains will be the last phase of TfW's fleet transformation, which alongside the Class 197s, 231s and 756s will allow for the replacement of a significant amount of its Class 150, 153 and 158 fleet. Finally, London's transport network is expected to receive 2 new trains this year. The first will hopefully be the long-delayed new DLR trains built by CAF, which will introduce fully walk-through 5-car trains onto the network and replace older B90 and B92 trains. The second is the brand new 2024 stock built by Siemens for the Piccadilly line, which will replace the over 50-year-old 1973 stock and introduce several major improvements to the deep tube, including walk-through carriages and air conditioning, which in my opinion are huge upgrades. Finally, I wanted to very quickly discuss rail franchises, as 2025 will see the biggest shake-up to the operation of the UK railway system in 25 years. As a lot of you may know, one of the commitments of the Labour government is to bring the British railway system back into public control under the new GB Railways. No, not that GB Railways, this GB Railways. Great British Railways is a bit of a mouthful if you ask me. Anyway, this year we will see the first few TOCs join this new company, with South Western Railway officially being nationalised on May 25th, with C2C following on July 20th, and finally Greater Anglia in September. Other TOCs will follow in the future, although some contract lengths might mean that the whole scheme is not completed until 2028. It is also assumed, of course, that the current DFT OLR TOCs will join GB Railways at the same time this year too. Now that pretty much brings us right to the end of the video, but I wanted to try something a little different. I want to ask you, the viewer, what you think the branding strategy for Britain's railways will be like going forward, as right now it's entirely up in the air, but it's believed that the current brands will stay for a while, and TOCs like Merseyrail and London Overground will stick around as they're already controlled by city councils anyway. Personally, I think there's two directions that they could go in. First is a completely unified brand similar to the old BR, with sectors like Intercity and NSE, with the only separation being a subtitle for each region. For example, SWR would become GBR Southwest. The other is keeping the same or slightly similar brands to the current ones, similar to the current nationalised operators, an example being Virgin Trains East Coast becoming LNER, and an example that could happen in the future would be Avanti West Coast becoming West Coast Trains. If you have a different feeling of how it will go, please give your thoughts in the comments below. Either way, that is it. As far as I'm aware, that is most of the important rail-related stuff coming in 2025. Of course, these are subject to change and delay, and of course, it is inevitable I have missed out a few things. But either way, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Farewell!